Good morning, friends. Hello, hello. Sorry for being a minute or two late this morning. I hope you're doing all right. Mug up. Traveling with the sailboats this morning. So, hope you're doing great on this muggy day. The a little weather alert this morning had a 98% humidity, which that was a severe fog warning. So I was coming out of the house. You could slice yourself you could cut yourself a slice of air. So it is one of those mornings down here on Mount Hope Bay. Hope that your day is going well. Good morning, everyone. Give it another minute. Let some folks come along. This holiday week has some goodness in store for you. Good morning, Vicki. Hope your knee's feeling better this morning. I know it's probably a challenge, but hope you're feeling all right. Good morning, friends. Hello, hello. How are we doing? We have I hear the rumbling and bumblings downstairs of our community meal that we serve for our friends at the margins and our neighbors and our homeless folks. This we do this meal in July is always a chicken barbecue. So they're down there cutting away at chickens and getting the grills out and all kinds of great stuff tonight. So just the church being the church, and so it's always um, as one of my old mentors used to say, we sat in church, and when I was a young student minister, and you could hear on one side there was the Sunday school kids coming down the stairs, and the other and below us in the sanctuary you could hear the choir rehearsing and you could hear in the fellowship hall the people gathering and getting ready for hospitality, and he stopped our meeting and he said, "I love the sound of a well-used church." And it's always been a phrase that has stuck with me because and here I am. That was probably close to 30 years ago now, and here I am in the same boat. I love the sound of a well-used church. So when I hear the folks thumping away downstairs, it is a joy. Good morning, Donna. Glad you're here. John, good morning. I feel better on the 28th. We will pray for that for sure. So just as we get ready this morning, I want to, Donna is on her way into to get doctored up. She is heading into surgery, and so she let us keep her in our prayers as we gather today, and that's and so as a part of our great journey. So welcome everybody. It is the first day of July at 11:11, and I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're a part of this wider fellowship. So this morning, we're going to do a summer read here in the church, and it's a book we've actually visited before, but it was a long time ago, many years ago. So we're going to revisit it here again, and it is a book called Talking with God. So maybe you've encountered it before, maybe you haven't, but it is a book about prayer. And I think in this hour and these days, it's if you read it, great. If you haven't encountered it, that's fine. I hope you'll take some time with it. There'll be copies on Sunday if you're around. But this notion of talking with God as what prayer is, and this our invitation to be a part of our to have a prayer life, I think it's one of the great gifts we think of it as a discipline, right? But here's the thing: disciplines are gifts. disciplines are gifts. And when we start to understand that disciplines are gifts, there is this way in which our life can open up and transform. In the 19th Psalm, it says this: "Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord." The words of my heart, the words of my mouth, and the meditations of my heart. That this notion of what we should speak and what we should say, that what we should meditate on, what we should throw out there in the world, and what we should say to God and what we should say to each other, and the meditations of my heart, the things that we should cherish in our heart, things we should hold on, be seen by God as a blessing. And that part of talking with God is just that. It is about getting this gobstopper right, that the things that flow out of us flow from God, and that getting the things in our heart are this rebellious little creature that dwells within us, that spins off all sorts of desires and wants and sorts of things that are not going to lead us towards goodness, and yet at the same point is the place in which the Spirit comes to dwell and brings goodness and joy and hope and beauty all at the same time. And so it is this invitation for us to continually keep talking with God. And so I'm excited for Gwen Dresser's Max book. It just is in this notion of that we should talk with God. Now, here's the thing about talking with God. There's lots of different ways to do it, and there's lots of different components to it, and there's lots of stuff which we're not going to cover in 11 minutes today. But there's one thing that I want us to invite it to, and as we hold up Donna as she goes forward for surgery today, as we go hold up our own challenges and our own iniquities and our own losses and our own struggles, that what the world convinces us of, and what we're often convinced of, is that the words of our mouth or the meditations of our heart, that they can become these they can help us frame things in such a way that we become limiting to the Spirit. Because hear what the psalmist says again, that be acceptable in your sight. Well, what does this acceptable thing mean? What is that it not just that that's okay, that's a good one, that's not a good one. It's not simply a quality test, but it is that as God, that we may live and have our being in the way that God lives and has God's being. And that is always a sense of the abundant. Because here you can walk down the street in Fall River and you can look at the cracks in the sidewalk, right? There are cracks in the sidewalk. There are cracks in the sidewalk here. And you know what is coming up through the cracks in the sidewalk? Grass or a weed or something verdant. That even in the smallest of places, life begins to grow and find its way. That even even in this day, which is with our 98% humidity or whatever we've got, that there is this way in which that humidity brings a verdancy to the life, a beauty to it, a wonder to it, that things grow. Even you go down to the bottom of the Marianas Trench, 15,000 meters or whatever it is to the bottom of that, there's life down there. And they discover life. There's life. There's this abundance of everything around us all the time in creation. And to think that we're actually the ones that are putting boundaries on this when we think about it as the reality of our spiritual life. You see, if the creation is that way, if the physical world is that way, what it means is that the spiritual world is already that way, because this is how things flow. They come from God, from heaven to earth. So if things are if beauty can grow out of the crack in a sidewalk, then beauty can grow, then what does that say for our spiritual life? It says actually that there's this incredible abundance in our hearts and in our being that is available to us. There is this incredible way in which we can access peace that is beyond understanding. We can access restoration in a way that we never thought possible and never thought would being real. We can experience wholeness. We can experience joy and goodness. We can experience innocence in a world life that may have beaten us up. There's this way that all of these things are available to us, even though we might think, oh my God, like I've just been cut down, or I've been pruned too much, or I've been battered, or I've been beat up, or I'm no longer a vessel, or I'm dirty, or I'm whatever story you tell yourself. And that the entry point to this is kind of what the 19th Psalm is telling us. That's the whole point of the 19th Psalm, is that we might orient ourselves in such a way. Let the meditations of my mouth and let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart, the things that I hold in my heart, be acceptable to God, because God's acceptance is about the acceptance of abundance. That there's not enough. There's not chaos that's about to swallow us. There's not just a little bit that's trying to break into the world. There is actually this verdancy and this beauty and this abundance of God's love and God's understanding and God's grace for us that is greater than we can imagine. And so the invitation is to pray into that. That's our invitation in this day. The great Phillips Brooks puts it this way. Phillips Brooks was probably one of the greatest preachers of the 19th century, and his stuff is incredibly beautiful. But he says this quote: "Pray the largest prayers. Pray the largest prayers." Because think about this from the point of our psalm. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O Lord. That this invitation into what we speak and what we hold, what we cherish in our heart, whether we and that his invitation into this is to say, pray the largest prayers. You cannot think, this is Phillips Brooks, you cannot think a prayer so large that God, in answering it, will not wish that you had made it larger. Pray not for crutches, but for wings. Pray not for crutches, but for wings. That in the same God that has enough life spread about this earth that even a crack in the sidewalk will bring a daffodil or a daisy or a dandelion poking its beauty out through it. That same God is an operation in our spiritual lives and in our hearts, and in our minds, and in our bodies, and in our being to bring us this abundance, this joy, this wonder, this peace, this goodness that is available to us now and always. Now, we may not always feel that place. It's part of alternating states, like not to go on that. But that's the reality that we live in the same way that we live in a reality in which grass grows to a crack in a sidewalk. That is the reality of things. And it is ours to, when God says to may these things be acceptable, it means that we orient ourselves towards that reality. And so that we say out loud these things of abundance, that we cherish in our heart these things of abundance, that we hear Brooks's words today, and it's the prayer I hope you'll pray today with me. Pray the largest prayers. You cannot think a prayer so large that God, in answering it, will not wish you had made it larger. Pray not for crutches, but for wings. All right, friends. Donna, you are on our prayers today as you go forward to get doctored up. We pray that healing and goodness goes with you, and we pray not for crutches, but for wings for you today. Peace and grace to you all, and we'll pick it up tomorrow with another 11:11.